Hi, I'm Jeff Gonzalez, president of Trident Concepts, and today I'd like to talk to you about suboptimal carry rigs. All right, so let's talk about, first of all, what makes an optimal carry rig. Well, the first thing that you have to do is you have to define your mission. What is your mission? Once you have kind of figured out what your mission is going to be for concealed carry, that's going to greatly help you decide on what type of firearm you're going to carry, how you're going to carry it, where you're going to carry it, what sort of supporting gear you're going to carry, right? So let's talk about what makes a suboptimal rig. A lot of times I will say that the easiest way to answer that question is if the end user is either ignorant or more likely being lazy. So let's talk about the first one. You don't know what you don't know. And a lot of times I'll have somebody that comes to a class that thought they had an ideal setup, and then all of a sudden they realize, wow, this really isn't going to work. No, it's not. Now I could try to tell you that in the beginning, but sometimes you actually have to discover that for yourself. And when you do discover that for yourself, you're much more inclined to actually make the changes that are necessary. So I'm more likely to kind of help guide you, mentor you towards that decision than try to tell you, hey, that's not going to work for you. Now, the second part is going to be being lazy. So a lot of times people will make this choice to carry a certain firearm, not because it's ideal for them, but because they're actually being a little lazy. Carrying a firearm is a choice. It's also a freedom and something that we have to take very seriously. Now, that doesn't mean that just because you're carrying something that may not be a prime candidate for a principal carry gun, I like to think of it as this, which is a gun is better than no gun, but you can't use that as your excuse for just carrying that. So I have had several conversations with folks and they talk about, well, this works for me. Okay, great, but let's really define what that firearm is going to actually work for and how it's going to work. So a lot of times people are quick to point to statistics or data to try to help make informed decisions, and I couldn't agree more. But at the same time, you have to be careful about what that information is actually outlining. So for instance, when this gentleman wanted to carry a specific firearm that I felt was, hey, again, a gun is better than no gun, but then we started to address his specific situation. So he happened to work in an environment that was somewhat restrictive, so it made sense for him to try to do that. But then he also participated in a lot of extracurricular activities outside of work, things like being involved in his local church group, being involved in a young adult group. These types of activities kind of forced him to rethink why he was carrying that firearm. Sometimes, for instance, in a church setting, we have to deal with extended ranges, and the particular firearm that he had was not ideally suited for that. Then the young adult, he obviously has to make sure that he does a very good job of carrying concealed and not printing the fact that he is. So that was another thing that we had to address there. So when you are looking to carry a firearm for concealed carry, there's a lot that goes into it, but you have to make sure that you match your specific needs with the firearm that you're going to look at carrying. And those needs can be easily addressed by creating that mission statement. So once you have established that mission statement, the needs are going to fall into place, or I should say they should fall into place a little bit easier. The bottom line is that don't just go along with the flow. Make sure that you have made a choice as to why you're going to carry that particular firearm. Many times I will ask the person, why are you carrying that firearm? And it's not because I'm trying to second guess them. I want to learn what was their motives for actually choosing this firearm. And that's where sometimes I get a lot of blank stares, or because, or it works for me. Okay, but really why? Let's get down to the actual reason why you're carrying that. And if it's because, well, it's just easy, okay, great. Let's go ahead and own that and move on. If it's, wow, I hadn't really thought about that, now you set the opportunity for you to actually make a better choice, a more informed choice. All right, I'm Jeff Gonzalez. If you have any questions or comments, please post them down below. We'd love to hear from you. Until then, take care and stay safe.